We finally have data from the game on kicking out villagers. Alright everyone, so Ninji, who has been data mining the Animal Crossing game and sharing his findings with the community on Twitter, just released findings on how to kick out villagers. So in this video, we're going to go over that data and make sense of it so you understand clearly what this means when you're trying to get rid of one of your villagers. Alright, so here is Ninji's Twitter page, and this is the formula that we're going to follow throughout the video. V times 5 plus C. So V equals the number of villagers living on your island right now. And C is the move out talk count, or the amount of days since you last told a villager to leave or stay. And that essentially means when you talk to your villagers when they have the thought bubble and they're asking to move. So with that in mind, there are conditions that Ninji laid out, such as that there are 5-day cooldowns after telling a villager to leave or stay. So nobody is going to ask to move out again if the move out talk count is 5. And so this is actually good news compared to what I had said in a previous video, where if you talk to them, you have to wait at least 2 weeks until someone asks to move again with that thought bubble. So now you have data that says if you initiate that conversation with the villager when they have a thought bubble, you can actually get another bubble again in a minimum of 5 days. In addition to this, there is a 15-day cooldown after you had told a villager they can move away from your island, and that cooldown starts on the day the villager is no longer on your island and you have that empty plot. And Ninji refers to this as the move out skip count. So once you met both of those day requirements, we can now start thinking about what villagers are going to ask to leave. Now, before we get into this, I just want to say up front, it is always going to be a random villager. There isn't any data that proves you are going to be able to kick out a specific one doing certain things. That doesn't exist, but luckily there's finally data in the game that proves friendship matters and can increase and decrease the chances for a villager to randomly be generated to move out. So you can at least increase your chances of having a specific villager move out. But before we get into that, let's first share Ninji's calculation. So each villager's chance is based on friendship and calculated by floor. 300 minus A divided by 10 minus R. So what does that mean, right? So A is the average friendship they have with all island residents, so the people who live on your island. And R is the amount of residents with 200 friendship. So friendship is a scale from 0 to 255, and this starts at 27 for new villagers and goes down with the higher friendship levels. All right, so what does that mean? So say you have a villager that you've been building up a friendship with for a while now. You send them letters, you talk to them daily, you give them presents, things like that. The chances of that villager being randomly generated to ask to move out will actually decrease because your friendship level is higher. If you have a villager that you're not that friendly with, say they haven't lived on your island for that long, you don't talk to them a lot, things like that, they will have an increased chance in asking to move out. There are exceptions to this rule. The villagers are going to be excluded from getting that thought bubble if their house is currently being moved, if their birthday was in the last 7 days, or within the next 7 days. And side note here, if you don't know a villager's birthday, all you have to do is Google it. It's super easy to find out. Next, they were picked last time and told to stay, meaning they had a thought bubble asking to move out. You initiated a conversation with them and told them to stay. And then finally, moved in most recently. The variable is called newest villager index. And now I've had comments saying that, you've kicked out the most recent villager, and Ninji has too, but this is his evidence, so I'm just going to go by it for now and say that the most recent move-in is not going to be the one asking to leave. And then finally, it does not matter how you got the villager, whether it be amiibo, campsite, trading, a random move-in. None of that is determining whether or not they asked to move out. All right, so in conclusion here, right? Ninji said there is no magic method to make villagers move out. You can manipulate it slightly, but it's still heavily chance-based. So even if you have a low friendship villager, it is not proven or guaranteed that that is always going to be the villager asking to move out. Of course, you have higher chances, but it is not 100% But that said, I still think it's important that we consider all of this data, especially because a lot of you are talking about having everyone but the villager you want to leave ask, right? So maybe that's because the odds of them asking were decreased, and maybe you had a high friendship level or something like that. Or maybe you didn't know all the rules that we just listed out above. Maybe their house was moving, maybe their birthday was coming up or had just passed. Maybe you just had a conversation with them not too long ago where you told them to stay when they had a thought bubble, right? Or maybe they're just the newest villager living on your island. So with all of that said, you can still kick out villagers without time traveling. My previous method is still valid here, but now we have more information and can give a more detailed account of what your process will look like. This is going to make it much easier for you because if you accidentally talk to someone with a thought bubble, we at least now know that it can be sooner than 2 weeks that you get that thought bubble again, as the minimum amount of days was 5. I still suggest, though, making sure that you have a recent save, talking to that villager to make sure it's the thought bubble, and then quickly closing out the game if it is and you didn't want them to move, just so you don't have to play the waiting game and can just wait that 1 day or the 2 days until the next thought bubble initiates with a randomly generated villager. So I hope this clears up everything for all of you. You can still go ahead and hit them with the net if you see them with a thought bubble for moving and you want to talk to them that day. And if you do not know what I'm talking about here, you can check out that video right there on the right, or I'll leave it in the description down below. And of course, you can still use that method for kicking out villagers without time traveling, but just keep this new info in mind when doing it. And if you want to know more about that, I'm going to leave that video down below as well for all of you. So I really do hope that this was clear, and I hope this will make things just a bit easier when kicking out that villager you don't like. If you have any more questions, leave them down below and I'll try to answer them. And please, please go follow Ninji on Twitter. It's such a big help to have Ninji in this community and sharing all of this information with us. Alright, and then finally, if you found this video helpful, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Animal Crossing New Horizons content, and click the bell so you can be notified every time I put out a new video. I appreciate all of your support, and I will see you soon.